The party was jumping when Bertha got off of her stump. The whistles were blowing and everybody did the bump. But all the time Bertha had been working on a goodie. Now folks call it Bertha Butt Boogie. When Bertha Butt did a goodie, she started the Bertha Butt Boogie. No question.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Glenda, everyone. I am your host, Scotty Bonner. How was your weekend, everybody? Happy Monday, which I never ever appreciated anybody ever saying that. I mean, these are filthy. Anybody ever saying that to me at work, I always hated that, but I'm going to say it today, so because I feel happy today. So happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Glenda, our daily morning live talk show about sports and entertainment and sports and all that's going around on this great big frisbee we call Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Scotty Bonner. Ooh, look, I can see. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I think you're going to really enjoy today's program. I know I am very excited to be here, but if it's your first time on Glenda, then welcome. If you're a KG veteran, then you know what's coming up next, and actually you've been like, all right, Scotty, let's get to it. This is why I'm tuning in. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give each other the morning Glenda Moose salute. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one way to do it, only one correct way to do it. Not my great grandfather, like chronologically, but my great grandfather always used to say there are a million wrong ways to do things and only one right way. So here's the correct way to give the Glenda Moose salute to one another, ladies and gentlemen. What you do here is, and in this order, you take your beautifully designed and created opposable thumbs right here. Look at these things. They can do anything. Up, down, in, out, every direction. Look at that. Look at the coordination. Look at that. Just boom, right from here to there. Bang, bang. Or where they go from, I'm not sure how the muscle fibers are told to go, but I know it comes from here originally. That's why Thomas Brady trains his brain more than he trains his body. That's where the reaction time actually decreases. It's not the muscle reflexes, it's the processing of the information and sending the signal back down to the opposable thumbs, which we're about to do. Oh boy, I'm a little thirsty this morning, Had a couple of libations over the weekend, so the body needs to replenish itself. But we're here and we're 100%. Where were we? So you take the opposable thumbs here, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, beautifully designed, created to perfection, and you place them upon your temples, depressing them upon your temples. You do not want to depress too much pressure there, because the temples are a vasodilation area, and we don't want to cause vasodilation. Therefore, we do not want anyone to fall down and pass out. So OSHA says I have to say that, so I've got to say that. So take your beautifully designed opposable thumbs, depress them upon your temples, not too hard as we already discussed, crossing the other digits in front of each other, lowering your upper thorax and head down, and then coming back upwards in a sunflower-esque manner towards the sun as we salute one another here on Glenda. Good morning to you. Welcome to Glenda, everybody. The show has now officially begun. I can't do a welcome to Glenda show without the moose salute, ladies and gentlemen. So I feel so much better. Whew, that's what I had written down on my my pregame sheet. You gotta do show prep and things of this nature. For shows of this that people do. And on my show prep, it had salute. And that was all that I had written down. But, oh, my goodness, where do we begin in the world of life, in the world of sports? Where do we kick off? Well, I hope everybody had half as good as a weekend as I had. I had one of the fantastic, greatest weekends of my life. Got to broadcast 5 games here in the Triangle area, all youth hockey ranging from U10 all the way up to U18. So that was a fantastic blessing, I thoroughly enjoyed every one of them. 2 of them were my own children, so of course that's even more enjoyable. Got to do a couple of U12 games, a U10 game, two U10 games, 2 U12 games, and a U18 game. So I really want to send a big thank you and shout out to the Polar Ice House, the House League. I want to send thank you to the Junior Canes, the Carolina Eagles, the NC Force, and anybody in Atlanta. Did I miss anybody? And of course the Lady Canes. and for allowing me to do the games this weekend. We had so much fun. So fantastic tilt. The best one of the weekend was on Saturday between the U10 Canes and the Squirt Double A Eagles, I guess. Squirt U10, they're interchangeable. As you know, I prefer U10 U12 because it the Squirt, the Bantam, the Midget, the Major, oh my God, it drives my brain nuts. I don't know who's who. How old? What? I don't know. People, they'll be like, how old's your son? And I'll be like 12, and they'll be like, oh, he's in this, Bantam or something. I'll be like, oh yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm not even gonna get into it. But anyway, so I'm assuming U10 and Squirt are interchangeable because it was the U10. Junior Canes, who took on the Squirt Eagles. What a game! The Canes jumped out to a 3-0 lead, and they looked like they were going to run the Eagles out of the arena. And then the Eagles made 3-1. The Canes made it 4-1, and then the Eagles came all the way back to make it 4-4. And then the Canes notched the winner with about 7 minutes left, and went on to win the game 5-4. But it was a fantastic tilt. It was definitely a great tilt and probably the best one of the weekend competitive-wise. I had just an amazing weekend overall. I'm still ecstatic from it, mixed with a little bit of sadness. My brother came to visit us down here, Uncle Clinty, as he's affectionately known here. So if you get the chance, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't recommend it higher that you catch our episode of the Keep It in the Family football show that my brother guest sat in on live here in the studios, here in the Glenda Love Broadcasting Studios here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Of course, the Keep It in the Family football show is our football show we do every Sunday morning. Myself and my brother-in-law Noah, as we affectionately known as Uncle No-Nos to the family. It's like I said, Keep It in the Family is the name of the show, and it's just football, family, and food, getting you ready for every football Sunday mornings right here on the Glenda Love Broadcasting Network. We usually started around 10. This one we started a little later because we had to pick up Uncle Clinty at the airport. He landed and came right to the studio. Well, that's not true. Landed, we stopped at the libation hut, picked up a few refreshments, and then came here and did the show. But I really recommend, suggest, and ask that you go and watch this episode of Keeping It in the Family football show because it was absolutely, in my estimation, a lot of fun. So Uncle Clinty was here on hand, so that meant anybody who's a fan of the show, they know that means that we did a lot of Seahawk watching over the weekend and had a really great time with that. I keep an eye on the Seahawks because he's my brother, he's a diehard Seahawk fan, and bizarre family note here. We're all from Long Island, and we're all down the middle New York fans. Every single, the Mets, the Islanders. I was always pretty much the only Knicks fan in the house. Nobody else really watched basketball, but I liked the Knicks. I still like the Knicks. Whatever's left to like. But so we were all, blue and orange, right down the middle, blue and orange, pile of suffrage, as being an Islander, Met, and Knick fan is, as I know very well. But in football, we just all went our own separate ways. My dad is a Giant fan. My mom's a huge Vikings fan. My brother became a Seahawk fan. Everybody was always, how did your brother become a Seahawk fan? Who knows? He likes Seattle, liked the colors. He's a huge Steve Largent fan. He used to have, Largent posters in his room back in the day. He was a big Ken Griffey Jr. fan for a long time on the Mariners there. He was just a Seattle guy for whatever reason. And I myself have always been a diehard Patriot fan, as you know, a fan of the show way before Bledsoe, way before Parcells. I was a Patriot fan. I remember being ecstatic when they defeated the Dolphins in the AFC title game, taking down the Marx Brothers in Marino, down at the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day. Good year? No, the worst. And then, going on to the Super Bowl, of course, running into the mighty Chicago Bears at the time. Nobody was winning that game. So it was the wrong year for the Patriots to make a run, but they did. And I was a fan before that Super Bowl. I was a fan, for years going into that playoff run. So that's how far my Patriot heritage, goes back. It's way more than over 1,024th. Let's just put it that way, okay? So people always break my chops. Oh, you're a Patriot fan, blah, 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 yeah, this and that, and whatever. I'll tell you this right now, being an Islander fan, a Knicks fan, and a Met fan, okay, I deserve everything I get from the New England Patriots, okay? God's like, just let him have one. The man, he's faithful, he's loyal, he won't leave these teams no matter what they do to him, and they try. They try to make you leave. Quite a few. Whoa. Yeah, especially some of the things the Islanders have done over the years. They had their team sold to a guy who was going to liquidate the organization to pay off his debt. That alone, start looking for another organization. But what can you do? The heart wants what the heart wants. And and I live down here now in Raleigh, and definitely a Canes fan. I root for the Canes. I love the Canes. I really do. Off the ice, and got to be, become friends with some of the guys affiliated with the Canes organization. They are absolutely a fantastic, off the ice club. They're coming together on the ice, and I root for the Canes. 78 times during the year. I just I cannot root against my Islanders. It'll never ever happen. There's nothing I can do that there's nothing that can make that happen. So I actually did not even want to go the last two times, opening night and last night the Islanders were in town. I didn't want to go to PNC to go see them because I really do not want to go to PNC and root against the Hurricanes. I won't enjoy it as much as I'm rooting for the Islanders, and as much as, to be honest with you, last night I was very happy the Islanders won. I always want the Islanders to win. I would not take enjoyment in going to PNC and rooting against the Hurricanes. I know a lot of people there now. I know a lot of I bump into people there that from the hockey league, and just people around town you get to know. Raleigh's not a big town, so the hockey community is kind of tight. Everybody kind of knows each other, which is good and bad. Because you do something stupid, and it spreads around. Who does anything stupid? Not me, never. So I didn't even. I had no desire to go the last two times. They've been down here twice now this month already. Didn't go to either, but I like going. If I'm gonna go to PNC for a Canes game, I want to have my Canes jersey on. I want to be rooting for the Canes. So I love when the Rangers come to town, or the Flyers, or the Devils, or Maple Leafs, or any of the organizations I don't have a lot of love for. I love when they show up in town, and I had then I'm thrilled to go to the arena. I'm looking for tickets. I'm asking yo, is anybody any extra tickets? Because there's I know a whole bunch of people that have season tickets down here now. They split them with people, and a lot of times they have some extra tickets and everything, and they'll be like, hey, listen, I can't use the tickets Saturday, and that happens. So whenever one of those organizations are making their way to town, then I'm really beyond thrilled to attend PNC Arena. So, with that being said, that went on last night. Obviously, huge day in the NFL. This was one of the I would say first weeks this week in the NFL, and it's getting to the middle of the season now, so things are starting to get a little bit muddled, and everybody starts to kind of drift back towards the middle a little bit, because of injuries and fatigue and just the season wearing on a little bit. But this was the first week, I would say, that I can think of in my head where there wasn't any head scratchers, wow, I didn't see that coming. When the Bills beat Minnesota in Minnesota, was it 27-0 or whatever they went into Minnesota, or 27-7, or I don't remember what it was, but when the Bills went into Minnesota and whacked them. Now that I'm saying that there hasn't been any shockers or surprises, and the Patriots and the Bills haven't played yet tonight, really setting myself up here for a disaster, which it would be if the Patriots lost this game tonight. And I'm not trying to disparage the good people of Buffalo. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a fan of the show, and I want to thank you for being a fan of the show, we added an addition to our family last week. Mr. Lou Piazza, a member of the longtime card-carrying member of the Buffalo Bills Mafia. He's going to be on the show weekly. He's not going to have a set day or spot or anything. We record the conversation, the interview, if you will, play it back, usually probably Thursday or Friday, somewhere where we're heading into the next week and things of that nature. And also want to welcome to the show, we officially found out this morning that a Mr. Stephen Shine will be joining us. He's going to be a member of the Glenda Love family, or as I like to say, the Glenda Love Navy. He is going to be our New Orleans Saints correspondent, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to hear from him weekly. I'd like to, try to get, I don't know if we can get all 30 teams out there, because that would be, that would take up, a week's worth of airtime, but I like to get, passionate guys that I know, and I've known these guys forever from back in the day, back in Deer Park, that have, just loved their team, forever, with complete and utter, irrationality, and they have no touch with reality, when it comes to their teams. That's the type of guy I'm looking for. I don't want some guy coming in, with 1,000 stats and, telling me, there's a 48% chance of them winning this week, and it depends on, if kickoff's going to take place during a high tide and all that like that. That's not the guy I'm looking for. I mean, no offense if that's you. God bless you. I'm not trying to tell you not to be that guy. If you're happy being that guy, hey, God bless you. I support you. Enjoy it. You do what makes you happy, pal. Do not change for me, because I would not change for you. And that's just the way, I don't want you to change for me. That would make you unhappy. So I'm looking for the guy, that's completely irrational about his team, and can't see anything but, they're going to win this week. They win this week by a lot. And when it doesn't happen, they're completely, kerfumpled about it. So Mr. Stephen Shine certainly fills that bill. He's a definite diehard New Orleans Saints fan since forever. I don't know how he became a Saints fan. I'm sure he'll tell the story when he comes on this week. So he's joined the family. He's going to be on sometime this week. Like I said, later in the week we'll have Mr. Stephen Shine giving us the perspective from a Saints fan's perspective, which nowadays I'm sure is an elated one, coming off of two huge victories on the road in Baltimore and then going into Minnesota and winning again. I mean, how much more can you add to the resume of saying that these guys are right there? Legitimate, Super Bowl contenders. They're as good as anybody in the NFL right now. I mean, you can't say that they're not. So, I'm sure we'll be hearing from a happy Steve Shine shortly, coming up soon here on the program. And I want to thank you guys all, of course, for tuning in to Sophia's Sports and Toys Emporium. That's been a big hit on the internet. People really love that show. That's my daughter's show that I do with her. I co-host that show. And that's just, she takes her gamblings from the week. As you know, on the show, we like to give out a lock a night, which mine hit yesterday, by the way. You're welcome very much. And mine hit on Saturday, too, by the way. You're welcome very much. And Friday, I think I missed. Yeah, I missed on Friday. But I hit on Saturday, and I hit yesterday. I had the Redskins. I told you to take them as a pick'em when it came out last week. So I had them at a pick'em because that's when I put my bet in for 50 cents. And I was like, there's no way the Giants should be a pick'em versus anybody. I don't care if they're home. I don't care. Unless it was like Arizona maybe, or Oakland, or San Francisco. Outside of those three, the Giants should not be a pick'em, versus anybody. And I think the Redskins are, you gotta say the Redskins are a good team. They're 5-2, and Alex Smith, he just wins football games, and I guess, you could say an exceptionally boring style, but win is a win. Winning's better than losing, and Alex Smith, that guy wins football games. What else can you say? It's enough already with, Alex Smith can't get the job done, or Alex Smith. I'm not saying, obviously, Andy Reid didn't make a mistake by letting him go when he knew what he had, waiting in the wings, and also, though, you gotta, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have both given, a lot of Mahomes' success this year, given a lot of credit to Alex Smith about how he tutored him last year, really took him under his wing and, and helped him along and helped, answer any question that he had, work with him extra, and, just did the right things as a professional and as a, a teammate and, as a human being. He helped Patrick Mahomes, to be better. So I'm a big fan of Alex Smith. Knowing things like that, you hear that behind us. You hear Andy Reid, you hear Patrick Mahomes, you hear everybody in the Chiefs organization, sing nothing but Alex Smith's praise. He could have pouted, he could have, saw the writing on the wall and be like, oh man, I'm getting shuffled out again. And to go through the season, that he went through last year, he had a fantastic season, numerically or statistically, and the Chiefs were a good team. They faded a little bit at the end there, but. And then to still, say, all right, well, we don't want you to be the starter anymore, and just, okay, fine, pack up your bags and head to the next stop, and then boom, turn around and, oh, wow, look who's in first place, the Washington Redskins, with Alex Smith at home, 5-2, like, who saw that coming? Not this guy. I thought they were going to be good-ish, same typical Redskins, 9-7, 8-8, 7-9, where they've been mired for the last 20 years. Every now and then they'll have a 5-11 season, and they look like, they had things turned around with RG3 the rookie year, and then that debacle, looked like they were, finally, turned the corner, if you will, and headed towards, perennial playoff appearances with him at the helm. But if you're a Redskin fan, I don't have to tell you that that plan eviscerated. Would that be eviscerated? Disappeared rather quickly, and the medical mismanagement there by Shanahan, and a couple of other things that went on there. I thought RG3 was going to be a star. I thought he was going to be a stud. I thought he was going to be, relatively, the next, we were looking at Michael Vick, 2.0, but it never materialized at all. So, but look at the Washington Redskins today, and they may still finish 9-7, although I don't think so. I don't think that's really in the cards for them. They look like they're more aligned right now. They'd be about 10-6 somewhere in there, and might win the division and get a home playoff game. Which is good for them. Good for them. Good for the Redskin fans. The Redskins are a loyal bunch up there in D.C. from us up there, down there from New York, depending on where you're catching the program here today. So it was, a really exciting, fun day in the NFL. Really, like I said, not everything kind of went as according to plan yesterday in the NFL. And I keep saying that. I probably should stop saying that. The Patriots haven't played yet tonight because if they lose, it'll be the upset of the week. One of the upsets of the year if they lose tonight to the Bills. And the Bills have already pulled off, the quote unquote upset of the year. They were, getting 17 points from the Vikings, and they won the game. Not just outright. They beat the living poop out of them that day. Hold. Ah, delicious. Love me some coffee. So, every Sunday in the NFL is a fun day, and we had just yesterday, being here, we had some friends over who came over later in the day. The kids were out playing roller hockey in the street. My brother was here. Michelle, the lovely and talented Mrs. Bonner, she made, just a delicious, she made my brother a southern cuisine, if you will, kind of little southern cuisine, because we were told when we moved here, we've been here 5 years now, we were told that once you live here for 5 years, then you're a southerner. I guess so. I mean, whatever. I don't know. I love Raleigh. So I am what I am, whatever it is. I will say this though: whenever I talk to somebody or hear somebody from New York talking back to me, I really hear now. It does sound like an accent to me because not nobody, but not too many people down here, talk that way. I don't hear it coming, out of my mouth. And the funny thing is, my son, not at all, but my daughter, because we moved down here, I think she was 2 when we moved down here. It was either 2 or 3, I don't remember. We moved down here in 13. I think she was 2 turning 3. We moved down here September of 13. I think she was 3 turning 4. Yeah, anyway, whatever she was. I think she was about 3 or 4 years old. She does at times. You can hear a little southern twang in that little, that little rascal. So it's kind of funny. It's fun. It is what it is. We love it down here. Love Raleigh. It's beautiful. Made really good friends, and it's just a unique place. Really unique place to live in the country. I think because it's just this little pocket here inside. The triangle right here where a lot of people are not from here. Then you got a good group of people that obviously are. But especially around, where I really spend, overwhelming majority of my time is around, hockey rinks and hockey people. So the overwhelming majority of people that, you meet and become friends with, at the hockey rink are not from here. They're from, outside hockey towns. I got friends from Pittsburgh. The guy in his family, Shane, that came over last night, he's from Toronto. Got friends from Detroit, got friends from Buffalo, got, plenty of people from New York and Long Island. I was playing on a roller hockey team for a while. Actually, I'm going to start playing again. Looking forward to that. I was playing on a roller hockey team for a while, and there was I think there was 4 Islander fans on the team. There was 1 Ranger fan and 4 Islander fans. I believe it was me, Godfather, Timmy, Charlie. Yeah, there was 4 Islander fans on the team. We had a Bruin fan, Penguin fan, Predator fan. And I know that that kind of people will say, well, that doesn't bode well for the Canes, but I completely disagree with that assessment. What doesn't bode well for the Canes is not making the playoffs. Because you could take that Islander fan, those 4 Islander fans, you could take that Predator fan, you could take that Penguin fan, you could take that Bruin fan, and I'll tell you what, if the Canes are in the playoffs come this fall, every single one of us will be in the parking lot getting ready to go into a playoff game. We'd all be there, and we'd all have our Canes red on, unless they're playing one of our teams. Then of course we're not gonna, no one's gonna drop their team in their heart that they grew up with and loved. But that being said, let's say Canes Toronto would be easy. Let's say it's Canes versus Montreal, for instance, and it might be Montreal's looking real good, or Canes versus Capitals. Although I do know a couple of people that are actually Capitals fans too as well. Before last year, anyway. Point being, we would all be there with our Canes jersey on, our Canes red, fired up for the Canes, rooting hard for the Canes, and wanting the Canes to win. We would all be there, and the place would be packed. So the fact that you would say, you're wearing your Islander jersey today, and you just mentioned all these other fans in the area, that and that you're friends with that live here and yada yada yada. Yeah, it's all true. But like I said, to a man, we would all be, in the parking lot, fired up. Let's go! It was the playoff game, and rocking the red, I guess as they call it up in Washington. But we would be you would have to take warning, as the advertisement says. But like I said, I love the I can't speak highly enough about the Carolina Hurricanes since we moved down here. The way that they their off-ice stuff, the way they treat people, the way they treat the kids, the things that they do down here, they're just a class act. And they were before the ownership change, so, and that's, just continued under Mr. Dundon's era and watch here, his first season here as a Canes owner. So I digress. Enough with, today's geography. So didn't Didn't do anything over the weekend, obviously in the entertainment realm of things, outside of talking about a couple of movies and things. With my brother. My brother's very much into the modern music scene, which is cool because he was showing my kids, a couple of different new bands that it was funny because he was talking to the kids about it, and he's looking at me, and I'm trying to give him, not the I'm not interested face or not the, whatever face. I'm not trying to be a, that guy about it, but I'm trying to give him the empty, look like and finally my son just chimes in and, just to let my uncle know he has no idea what you're talking about. Just stop looking at him. I know who you're talking about. I like the guy. I know the music. I've seen the video. I know exactly what you're talking about here. And just talk to me, and I'm fine with it. You don't have to talk to me about it. Talk to Lukey about it. Talk to Sophie about it. You guys can talk for an hour. I don't, you can talk for 5 hours. I don't care. But if you're looking, for back and forth from me, all you're gonna get is, and then he'll play a song or play a video by the guys, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's good. I like it. But I am a very not purposeful, not trying to be an arrogant, today's music isn't as good as this music or that music. It's just I have always been, and I'm a big music fan. Not so much a concert-going guy. I think I've probably been to 10 concerts in my life. I like going to concerts. Just, I don't know, never was much in the realm of what where I spent my time. Not, disparaging or anything. I just never was my huge thing. But I'll go, definitely go to a concert. I've always said, and my wife knows this, if Roger Waters ever comes around again doing, his performance of The Wall, I was lucky enough to see that at the new Yankee Stadium. I think it was the summer of 2012, or was it 2013? It might have been the summer we moved down here. I think it might have been 13. Anyway, I saw Roger Waters with a couple of buddies of mine do his show, with The Wall, and I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, and I mean, if you get a chance, if he comes around, does it again, hopefully, he's still on tour, but he's not doing The Wall. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing, and I know it's very political, and I know what he's saying, and I know where he stands, and I disagree with everything pretty much from his perspective politically. I think and all the I know he's got a lot of anti this and anti that out today. But sometimes, you gotta, I'm thankful that I've come to the point in my life, and maybe it's just getting older and more peaceful. I don't know. Who knows? Where I'm just like, yeah, this is how this guy sees it. I think he's absolutely wrong. I couldn't, I'm 180 degrees opposite of him. But the show is phenomenal. The music's phenomenal. The performance is phenomenal. And I've always been, a huge Pink Floyd and The Wall fan. So, there's, I'm not gonna pass up on going to see this, and I'm glad that I grew out of that. I went through that for a phase, probably about 10 years. Where I'm like, I'm not watching that movie, with this person in it, or I'm not going to this, I'm not listening to that music with this in it or that. And I thankfully grew out of that. I don't think, and again, another thing, if that's how you are, I'm not disparaging you. I'm not telling you, don't be that way. That's what makes you happy. I just came to the realization that it wasn't making me happy. I'm just, limiting myself from things, that I like, that, entertainment-wise, and I've got to come to, the realization that these people, see the world, this way, and that's fine, whatever. And if they want to, be loudmouths about it, I mean, like Jim Carrey and, and Robert De Niro, and make themselves, look like idiots, in my opinion. But you're allowed to be an idiot, so. It's fine, and as long as when I go to watch your movie, the movie's entertaining, and I like your role, and you do a good job, in your role, and I'll go watch the movie. I can't stand, a lot of things coming out of De Niro's mouth, but if if he comes out with Goodfellas 2 next week, I promise you I'll be going to see that. Although I don't see a sequel to Goodfellas coming anytime soon, but you know what I'm trying to get at. Or if I'm flicking through the channels and Goodfellas is on. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to watch that because, De Niro's, a jackass. No, I'm putting a remote down and I'm watching Goodfellas because, it's a fantastic, movie, and some of the scenes in there with him and Joe Pesci and Ray Liotta are just, beyond iconic, scenes. And it's an iconic film. It's an all-time great, mafia film. I'm a huge, love mafia movies. Love, obviously both Godfathers. Please don't anybody mention Godfather 3. I don't even acknowledge it. You could put Godfather 3, there's a category of films that I will not even acknowledge, as I'm going to now pontificate about them for the next 5 or 10 minutes, as I'm not acknowledging them. So you see the consistency there. There's, you can make like a folder, in your Gmail. So I would make a folder of movies that I'm not going to acknowledge. So let's talk about them. Godfather 3, comes to the top of the mind there, comes to the top of the list. Beverly Hills Cop 3. Although I heard a rumor that they were making another Beverly Hills Cop. Originally, they were going to do a remake of it, but then I heard Eddie Murphy wasn't happy about that. And so now rumor has it that he is penning a Beverly Hills Cop 4. He's another guy that most people don't realize is a ridiculously amazing screenwriter and just a brilliant man. As far as that stuff goes, Eddie Murphy is one of my all-time favorite actors, comedians. Where you label him as, he's absolutely amazing in so many things that he's done. I didn't care for his part in the career there where he signed that big deal with Disney. I ain't mad at him. Disney paid him, like $100 million or something like that, probably more than that, and a lot of percentages on a lot of the characters in films. I know he owns I don't know how much, but he owns a good chunk of Dr. Dolittle, and he owns a good chunk of what was the other one? The Clumps, where he was the Nutty Professor. Eddie Murphy is no dummy when it comes to business. The man is worth multiple billions of dollars, and just one of the great talents of all time. But a lot of people don't realize one of his greatest talents in my mind. And if you question me for 1 second, I'm going to tell you exactly why. You're going to maybe a lot of you do realize this before I say it, but some people that don't. He created and wrote the entire Coming to America. That was all. He invented every character. Obviously, he played 7 or 8 characters in the movie. And that Coming to America is... Oh, Baba, do you need help? Hold on, folks. I may have to help Baba. Oh, I put the basket in the top spot for him. He got down. What a good boy. That's our co-host, ladies and gentlemen, Lord Stanley, our family hound. As you know, if you're a fan of the show, he's the co-host. He's always here. He's just... he's getting a little long in the tooth there. He's he's pushing 15, so it's a little difficult for him to get up and down from the couch. So I just had to keep an eye on him there, make sure he didn't need a hand. If he did, I would have sprung to it because he's my boy. We got him. My wife and I got him when we were dating. I think I told the whole story last week. And we took him to the vet. And, vet said, "Are you sure he's eating? He's not 6 weeks old. Shouldn't be out of his mother, away from his mother yet." Told you that whole story. So where was I? Oh yeah, Donkey. So, Eddie Murphy. From when I saw, I don't know what website it was, and I don't like to read previews about movies, or you'll get something and I'll come across, and here's the plot line to the new Infinity Wars. I'm like, I don't want to read that. Who clicks on these things? And I'm sure millions and millions of people do. And I guess I gotta say, if that's what makes you happy, God bless you. But I don't like it, and that's why I really never ever, outside of with my son, because he knows, even if he knows some information, not to divulge it to me, to keep it to himself if he somehow found out by accident. He knows that I don't want to know anything that's coming up about an upcoming film or anything like that. You need to go outside, baby? Okay, hold on 1 second, everybody. Sorry. Gotta let him out. Sorry, it's a one-man show here, so just bear with me as I let our co-host out. Gotta do his business, I'm sure. Whoa. Hold. All right, baby. There you go. Whoa. Okay. Go ahead. Be careful. Come on, you got it. Yeah, boy. Go. Oh. All right. There he goes. He's a good boy. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. Gotta get that out of the way. Okay. I'm coming back on screen. As you can see, my land speed, as I've gotten older, has really started to increase. I am no longer, the slow-moving adult male that I once was. So anyway, I don't know where I was exactly. Oh, and of course the other dog's got to go out now that I just sat back down. Here she comes. Yep, chubbing right along. Do you need to go outside, honey? Because let's just do it if you need to do it. No? You're going to wait till he comes in to go out and make me get back up, right? All right, anyway. Nope, she's going to go now. So Eddie Murphy, anyway, yeah, I don't like to read or hear anything about any movie that's not out yet. Like I saw something the other day about the upcoming Godzilla, thing, and it was like, something, confirmed, plot story to, Godzilla King of the Monsters. I'm like, there's no way I'm clicking on that. And like I said, I got to stay consistent, so I guess I got to say, if that's your thing and you're into doing things like that, then God bless you. But that's why I don't even have conversations with people about upcoming movies, because they could, if I start the conversation, let's say I got a good friend at the hockey rink. I know he's a Star Wars guy like myself, and I don't think he would personally, but I'm just saying in general. If I say to somebody, I can't wait for episode 9 and yada yada yada, and he blurts out, I heard blah blah blah, before I have a chance to say, hold it, and he blurts it out. and could really give away something, in the film to me that I didn't want, exposed. Like I remember somebody said to somebody somewhere, we found out that Luke had passed away in the new the Last Jedi. So I was like, oh, we found that out before we went. Fortunately, I did not know about Han's fate going into the other one. We managed to stay away from that information. So it's hard, today there's so much information out there. It's actually harder not to find out. So, I don't like to go into things like that, but I did see they were considering, originally the plan was to remake Beverly Hills Cop. Hold on one second, please. I'm sorry.
Hey, cut that out. Come on. Hey, I said stop. Hey, come on.
Of course, he's going to do this in the middle of the show. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, but if he keeps barking, then I'll hear from the neighbors.
Hey. Come on. Good boy.
Yes. Good boy. It's not even out there. What are you barking at? I was barking, Daddy, making sure that they know that this is my neighborhood. I'm the alpha male in this town. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Stanley. Yeah, they may say, what are you talking about, Sheriff? You're old. I say, I still got it if I need to. I can summon it up one last time if I ever had to, God forbid. I really think if he ever had to defend the home, he's got enough left in the tank for one more good run at it. He would certainly, give it his all to protect especially the kids. Oh man, when we first brought Lukey home, we had Stanley probably a year and a half, 2 years already. So he was young, but he was in his prime. But looking back on all the pictures, every single picture that we have when Lukey was an infant, which going back to 2006 now, every single picture, either he's right there, you see him in the picture, or you see a tail, you see a paw, you'll see his back, you'll see he's just always next to the baby, every single. And we didn't even realize it at the time. And I remember when we first brought him home, we first brought Lukey home. Fortunately, we learned we were first time parents. So like Bill Cosby says, you're first time parent, you take the birthing class. My wife and I went to the birthing class. It's me, a couple of guys in there, all because nobody in the birthing class. There's nobody in the birthing class that has children. You ever notice that? You go to a birthing class, everybody's there for the first time. Because once you do it one time, you're like, I'm not taking this again. No, there's no way. There's no way Michelle would say to me, we need to take the birthing class again. You don't take a birthing class twice. I don't know. I'm sure there are people that do. I'm sure there's people that have 7 children who have taken 7 birthing class. I promise you that that you can find that person out there. But I think that's certainly in the minority. So, but you could tell all the guys in the room, because when you're at the birthing class, generally speaking, the women are really far along. You don't take the birthing class 12 weeks into the the pregnancy. Like everybody who's there is pregnant. You know what I mean? Like they're like the women are talking. All right, I'm ready. Let's get this thing out of me. Blah blah blah. And the men there are all they got including myself, I'm sure, just got like a look of horror on their faces. Like they're looking around. There's big giant women all over the room. Ready to burst. One of them's their wife, carrying their child, their first baby. You're terrified beyond belief that, the good Lord's actually going to allow you to care for another human. That's insane. I can't believe he allowed me to do that. That he trusted me enough to do that. He knows better than me. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't trust myself one bit about it. And, I think the average guy kind of feels that way. You look back at yourself, you look at yourself, you're like, I'm a mess. I'm a puddle. I've been a mess for 30 years. I'm got to take care of it. A creature that can't do anything for itself. My son. And we didn't know. We didn't find out if he was a boy or a girl. The first baby, but Michelle said the entire time she was pregnant, she's like, it's a boy. It's a boy. It's a boy. It's a boy. Don't even look at girl stuff. Don't. Everything for her baby shower. She'd tell people, we're having a boy, we're having a boy, we're having a boy. Kid comes out, boy. So hey, good for you. I don't know how you knew, but she knew. So anyway, you're at this birthing class, and like I said, there's a lot of hormones going on, a lot of insanity, and like I said, just you look around the room and you look at the guys' faces, and it's just everybody is just complete terror of what is about to happen to their lives. A change that no one could ever. It's like trying to describe what it's like to go on a roller coaster. No. You either get on the roller coaster and you feel what it feels like, or you can't read a book about about going on a roller coaster. So, fortunately, though, I have to say, The best thing and by far and most useful thing that we've got out of the birthing class, because the baby's gonna come. I mean, there was whatever. And then when you're going through labor and and all that is going on, and we had a kind of a little bit not an emergency situation with Lukey's labor, but we had a little bit of a scare, I guess. I've been a nurse for a long time, so I wasn't really, and my wife is in the medical field, so I wasn't really at all really ever scared that anything bad was going to happen, because we never lost his heart rate or anything, thank God, or anything like that. But he was my wife was in labor with him for 26 hours, and he was coming down, he was on his way out. They gave the medicine to induce the labor and blah blah blah, and they said, oh, you'll probably have him sometime this evening, maybe it'll go to like 8-9 o'clock. We're like, okay, cool, blah blah blah. It took a long time. So anyway, he ended up his he turned the wrong way or something, he got stuck, yada yada yada. So when the poop's hitting the fan and everybody's in the room and things are going, you are not going outside again. No, come on, lay down. Come on, baby. No, come on, that's ridiculous. You just went out. Lay down, good boy. When it's happening, when it's when the rockets are fueled and you're hitting that ignition button and things are happening. You don't remember anything from the birthing class. You don't sit there and say, okay, this is what I was told to do. I've got to, do this and that. No, that's all gone, man. Your heart's going at 1,000 miles an hour. Your brain's going 1,000,000 miles an hour. Your pupils are dilated like never dilated before. The room's really, really bright. Your heart is never, pounding out of its chest. It's fantastic. It's an amazing thing. It's, one of the greatest moments of my life. But there's no chance on God's green earth I'm going to remember anything that they told me to do in the birthing class. Not that the birthing class is for me anyway. That's a complete facade that the father has any sort of role in anything that's going on. It's good, to be there, in my opinion. I'm very thankful I was there, for both of my children, to see them come into the world. But, they were, if I wasn't there, I promise you everything would have went exactly the same. So not really a functioning, person in the room. I'm just really taking up space. But, thankful to be there. I wouldn't change, a second of it for the world. But the one thing that we did learn in the birthing class, and I'll share this with you guys because it's really, really good. They said if you do have a family pet, generally a dog, cat, cats don't give a crap if you bring a baby into the house. But if you have a dog, do not come into the house and pull the baby away from the dog. Tell the dog, don't go near the baby. Don't show the dog, especially the dog only has one first chance to meet the baby. So don't show the dog that the baby is foreign and something to not, that he should not be or she should not be, a part of. And they also told us to, you got to figure that the wife, the female, is not going to be home for a couple of days, to go have the baby in the hospital, 1 or 2 days at least, possibly 3. So they said, when you get to the house, have the wife go in first by herself, go say hi to the dog, pet the dog, give the dog a cookie, be in there for a minute or two. Then have the husband come in with the baby. The dog's going to be all excited. He hasn't seen mommy in, a couple of days. And, of course, that's what dogs do. That's why they're awesome. That's why, that's why man loves dogs. That's why they are man's best friend. And they are, just the greatest animal that God ever created. So you come in and have the husband come in with the baby and bring the baby in and put the baby down in the middle of the living room and walk away. And I know it's hard to do. It was hard to do. It's hard to, even though our dog, is absolutely our baby, completely friendly, has never bitten anybody in his life, not that, just not that personality of a dog or anything. And they said, nope. They said the dog will not hurt the baby. No dog will hurt the baby. Okay. And they said, especially, if it's a family dog, they said, even if the dog has got a history of snipping at people, or some of the littler dogs, like, Chihuahuas and Jack Russells and those things, they can be a little bit, a little malcontents, I guess. They got a history and they got a personality that's known for doing that. So they said, and our dog wasn't anything like that, but it's hard. Especially, with the first baby, you think the thing's, completely fragile, and I mean it is, but still, you like, it's different. You know what I'm talking. If you had your first child, the second child is like, apples and oranges. And, I don't know. I didn't have 3, but I'm sure by the third child, you let the dog feed it. We're gonna go out for a little while. Just keep an eye on keep an eye on them for a little while first. So they said, leave the whatever it is, the car seat, thing with the baby in it. leave it in the middle of the living room, and leave the dog in there alone. You can peek around the corner, and they said, let the dog, smell him. Let the dog. And they said once he does that, and he identifies him as one of the pack, then they'll say that is it, and the 99% of the dogs, from that point on, will be, accepting him and realize they know it's a baby human, they know it's a new human. They said, they have smelled the baby before. They know that the baby it's not even a new smell, because they could smell the baby in the womb, which is ridiculously amazing. But that's what they said, and I don't doubt it. So it's not something that's even completely foreign to them. And a lot of times when they do smell the baby come into the house, or they'll smell the baby on the mother and on the parents when they come in, before even seeing the baby. And then if you pull the baby away, you're telling the dog, no, this is something foreign. This is not something. This is you're giving the message that this is an enemy to the house. Confuse the dog. And I'm sure 99 times out of 100 the dogs, still adapt to it and everything's fine. Otherwise people wouldn't have dogs and bring babies home. But they said it's a much easier transition for the dog, to allow him, for an art's sake, to greet the baby on his own terms and accept him into the pack on his own terms. And then, just like they said, he'll sniff, he'll walk around, wag his tail, he may even lick the baby. And some people I know today, they're like, oh my God, his dirty tongue's licking the baby. Calm down, people. He comes, the baby does come with an immune system, it's intact. You don't have to add it in, it's not something like, God thought of these things, the baby does come with an immune system. You can let the dog lick the baby. That's another story, for another time. That's another show. How insane people are today with cleaning their hands and the Purell and things like that. You wonder why people are sick all the time. But anyway, so yeah, he sniffed, licked the baby, and then I don't know how long it was. It wasn't long at all. Like a minute or two later, maybe 45 seconds. I don't even know. He pranced into the kitchen looking for us, wagging his tail. And it was just that. And then after that, that's it. You're all done. That's it. He's accepted. He's one of the pack, and boom. So looking back on all the so that was, but that was the by far the best thing that we got out of the birthing class. And I'm not trying to poo-poo, the medical stuff and the birthing stuff and all that, but like I said, that all goes out the window when the poop's hitting the fan. I'm not saying don't take the class, because it's actually an experience. It's kind of like, part of the birthing process, to sit through a birthing class and, have to, and just be like, yeah, it's kind of like, it's kind of like a rite of passage. Yeah, I went to the birthing class. Damn right I went. Oh, yeah. I didn't miss a class. I got 100 on the final. You know what I'm saying? Like the birthing class and driver's ed, two things I excelled at in my life, scholastically. Outside of that, we did the best we could. So, looking back on all the old pictures now, if you see pictures of Lukey when he was an infant, you see, Baba's right next. So here's the funniest part of the story. We had Lukey home first weekend. So my mother-in-law's over. We had Lukey was born in Virginia. We lived in Virginia for a very short time, and. So I had Michelle's family was from Virginia, so we had a lot of her family over, to come see the baby, So Michelle's mother was a little bit anxious about the dog being around the, you had that little, whatever you fold up, cage, whatever the baby sleeps in. And, the baby's not playing anything yet. They just sit there when they're newborn. And eventually becomes a playpen or whatever. I don't know, one of those things. So my mother-in-law walked over to the Lukey had woken up. My mother-in-law walked over to the whatever you call it, and it was in the living room. And she reached in, scooped him up. Grandma holding him. And Stanley, he looked at her, didn't growl, didn't show his teeth or anything like that, and he just leapt. He just jumped like out of the blue. He didn't like come over running and jump. Didn't like he was next to the thing anyway because he wouldn't leave the thing, I don't know what you call it, the cage. And so she picks him up, and he goes, and he jumps like right in it, like right as she's picking him up, like here's the baby. She's scooping him up, and she's like on her way. She doesn't have him yet. She's not holding him. On her way, she's got him. He's secure. On her way up, he goes like almost over him, and she takes him. She pulls the baby in real tight. And she walked around the house, and I'm not. It's funny. She walked around the house with a look on her face. She was like appalled. She couldn't believe that this dog just did that. She's terrified that the dog's gonna hurt the baby, and it was just so funny. And I think maybe, again, this is me being amateur veterinarian psychologist here. He probably sensed her anxiety around him over the baby, and I don't know, he just jumped. He never did it before, never did it again, never did it. She's like, oh my God, you can't, leave him near there. He's gonna jump in when the baby's there, and I'm like, he's not gonna jump in when the baby's there. He just wouldn't do it. I don't know. I was just like, even though he, clearly can, make that jump, he did it with ease. Back when he was, 2 years old, he used to go over freaking 5-foot, fences with ease. This guy, so that was nothing. He could do it any time he wanted. It just was like, he's not, and Michelle was like, he's not gonna do that. I think he just jumped in there because he felt her anxiety, and I think he just wanted to say, that's my brother. I don't know, what relation he is to you, maybe your grandson or however this works in, in the human world, but that's my pup. I am in charge of his security. So if you want to hold the baby, you got to come to see me. I'm not saying you can't hold the baby, but you got to clear it with me first, okay? I'm the security check here. I don't like the fact that you went around me. I don't like the fact that you didn't acknowledge me while I was sitting next to you. I don't like the fact the stink eyes that you've been giving me while I've been sitting here. So let's just get one thing clear here, okay, Grandma? You want to pick up the baby? That's fine. I understand. I appreciate. I know you love the baby, but let's just make one thing clear. I'm in charge of this situation here, so I wanted to let you know that, and I did so by leaping into the cage. So there's a folder of movies that you got to make, to make sure that in not acknowledging them, this is how we make sure that they're there. So what do we say? Godfather 3, Beverly Hills Cop 3, which again, hoping that Eddie Murphy. I would like to see. I usually don't when they make extra movies sometimes and it gets ridiculous like Beverly Hills Cop 3, but with that being said, I have noticed that a lot of fantastic actors and screenwriters and brilliant men and women of Hollywood, which I know, right now you're like, that's kind of a contradictory to how you feel about the world, but no, I mean, in their field, they're brilliant. Most of them that are brilliant, such as Eddie Murphy and Sylvester Stallone and a couple of the guys, Harold Ramis and things, guys like that. When they have a iconic film, like Beverly Hills Cop is pretty much, I don't know if it's on the level of iconic, but Beverly Hills Cop is, phenomenal. The original is just, and the second one's great too. But the first Beverly Hills Cop is, it's a great movie. Axel Foley is an all-time fantastic, character. He's an all-time, if you had to make a list of, great, police officers in film, Axel Foley is right at the top of my list. If he's not at the top of my list, as far as character goes, Eddie Murphy, as Axel Foley is just, come on, it's fantastic. Every single second of it, and how he, the gags that he pulls on everybody. We're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe thing. The whole movie, start to finish. Beverly Hills Cop, the first one, is just great. And the second one, is awesome. For a sequel, it's not. It can never be as good. It's hard. That's next to impossible to do. But it's an excellent standalone, sequel. It's a great movie. So then to come out with Beverly Hills Cop 3, Eddie Murphy's, like I said, no dummy. He knows that it's garbage, and it's not funny, and so that goes. So, but what I've noticed is when guys of that ilk that have done so well prior extend the lineage of the films, and then sooner or later you're gonna put out a piece of poop. It's if you keep making films on the same characters, you're gonna miss bad on one, and that's But I have noticed that after guys that are that good at making characters and screenplays and things of that nature, when they have a bomb and when they have one that's just terrible and they know it's terrible, they knew it was terrible when they were making it, and then they didn't admit it at the time, but now looking back, that was I shouldn't have done that. But there's nothing I can do now, and they make another one, the one that comes after the pile of poop really generally tends to be like, okay, all right, I redeem myself from that pile of poop. So you got Beverly Hills Cop 3. So if they make a Beverly Hills Cop 4, as opposed to originally, like I said, I heard that they were remaking it, and then Eddie Murphy was not happy about that. So last I heard, he is writing the screenplay for Beverly Hills Cop 4. So hopefully that's happening, and hopefully they get going on production as soon as possible, because I would love to see another rendition of Axel Foley, even if he's a little bit longer in the tooth now. I'd love to see a 55, 60-year-old grumpy Sergeant Axel Foley or something like that in Detroit, still miserable, with the picture of his old captain behind him, and in his office, and out there with some well, wise ass, rookie, or who knows, who knows. Either way, if it's done well, and if Eddie Murphy's, writing it and directing it, like he did with Coming to America, then I have every confidence that it will redeem Beverly Hills Cop 3, which goes into the folder with Godfather 3. Godfather 3 is just a piece of garbage, top to bottom, and just should have never been made. It's not even a Godfather movie. Which is why it goes into the folder of non-acknowledgement. So Beverly Hills Cop 3, Godfather 3, Rocky 5. We go into that pile. Godzilla fights Mechagodzilla. That's a terrible Godzilla movie, and for me to say Godzilla in a terrible movie in the same sentence, that's a step. I mean, you really miss things making a Godzilla movie. Trying to think a couple of more off the top of my head where it just got, like to the point like, oh my gosh, why did you make this? This is awful. One of the Jason Bourne movies I felt kind of was like that. I don't know, I forgot which one. I'm not a huge Jason Bourne fan, but I'm sure if you're a fan of film like I am, you can easily come up with a list in a folder, and you put them in there, and a folder of films that we don't even acknowledge. So good to talk about that for a good half hour. To make sure that you want to make sure that something that you don't want to give any attention to or anything in your life, you want to make sure that you talk about it for a while. So. Fantastic weekend here at the Bonner home. My son had a hockey game. Daughter had a hockey game. Got to broadcast 5 games altogether over the weekend. Love doing that. I just thoroughly enjoy, especially all the games I did this weekend. Either one or the other of my children were doing the camera. Some of the camera work that my daughter was doing. It was her first time doing it. She's 8 years old. She tried. It was a little bit rough, but hey, got to learn. And I don't care. I'm spending time with her, so whatever. She's standing right next to me, and we're talking. Having a ball. And when she's older, she'll remember. I used to go to the games, do the camera for my daddy. My dad used to broadcast my games and things like that. So I'm very blessed to have that. And then the other games, my son was doing the camera. And I gotta say, he does. I'm not one to really brag on my kids a lot. Like, oh yeah, my kid's gonna make it to the major leagues, or my kid is leading the league in home runs, and things like that. That's not my thing. But I have to say that he does do a really bang up, fantastic job as the cameraman. He takes it very seriously, and he wants to go to film school. When he gets older, he wants to be a director and write and make movies. He has no desire to be in the front of the camera. My daughter's more like me, wants to be in front all the time and be the center of attention and love me some me. And she definitely the apple did not fall far from the tree. But he's the thinker. He's the man behind the camera. That's where he wants to be, and God bless him. That's where he's happy and comfortable. Go get it. Go get him. That's what I tell him. Don't do what you weren't sent here to do. That's how you end up depressed. So. Just a great weekend. Spent all the time with the family, like I said. So my wife made a nice southern meal, for my brother. She made pulled pork, Carolina barbecue pulled pork, a little bit of homemade baked macaroni and cheese. Delicious. A couple of friends came over, had a bunch of libations, had a great time. It was absolutely gorgeous out. The kids went out and, like I said, played roller hockey later on in the afternoon, like 3, 4 o'clock after the 1 o'clock game was over. We were out there watching them play a little roller hockey, right in front of the house. Come on. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now, and I tell my kids this all the time. It is really, really, really great to be an American. I mean, that's it. That's all I gotta say. It's just to be a card-carrying member of the the greatest empire that the world has ever seen by far, and to live in it. Pretty much during its peak right now. Of course, people, want to argue that and go on, but still, I mean, even if I don't care if you're talking 3 years ago where there was another, philosophy in the Oval Office as opposed to now. I'm not getting into that. It's still the same. Well, it's different, better now. But to be still, even 3 years ago, still in the relative peak of, the greatest empire the world has ever seen. Not even close. And to be able to have, the weekend. That I was, blessed to have by the Lord. Let me just, there is nothing better than being an American. I mean, it's just fantastic. The weather was perfect. So, and, of course, part of being American, is football. And so we obviously, with my brother here, being a diehard Seahawk fan that he is, and an active member of the Seahawkers podcast, which is, I believe, the number 1 podcast for the Seattle Seahawk organization. If you are, what's the matter? What's the matter, honey? Do you need to go outside again? You okay? I'm sorry, everybody. He just cried a little bit. I worry about him. Hold on. He wants to go out. I don't know why. He was just out, but... Sorry. So, my brother, Clint, where are you going, baby? What do you want? You don't know what you want. That's the problem. Come on. Just sit down, honey. Sorry. Thought he wanted to go out. Now he doesn't want to. He's not facing the door. He doesn't want to go out. So, so obviously we're my brother's here watching the Seahawks game. That's the way it goes. And I'm happy to. And it turned out that with them being 3-3 and the Lions being 3-3, it had huge playoff implications for the Seahawks. So it turned out, at first when I was like, who are they playing? He's like, the Lions. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Seattle-Detroit game. That's the one I wanted to have my eye on all day. I would keep an eye on it for him. If he wasn't here, I probably would have had the red zone on. Rooting for Seattle and happy to see them, that they had a real nice day. Pulled away, dominated the game really from start to finish. He got a little nervous there towards the end, but I was telling him, I was like, there was not one moment in this game from the moment they kicked off that I had any feeling that you guys were going to lose this game. You guys were in control of the game from the opening drive to the final drive. It was a really dominating performance, statistically or on the scoreboard. I don't even know what the score was, 28-14 or something like that. Let's see, what was the final score? Hold the Googler. You're going to want to go to www. Seahawks won the game 28-14. Okay, good job, brain. So it wasn't like one of those, but it was just one of those games that just the Seahawks just had. They seemed to have a really good game plan coming in, and they stuck to it and executed it, and the game wasn't close. Never had that feel that the Lions ever had a shot. So, I was very happy about that. So I don't have the NFL Sunday ticket. There's no reason in the world for me to get it as a Patriot fan down here in an NFC market. Between their national games and the other times when they're just the game on CBS, that CBS elects to put on down here. There's only like one or two times during the season where they may not actually be on TV, so I'm not going to shell out $300-400 for two games. That's not happening. And my wife's a Cowboys fan, and the same goes for them. They're on, national TV or the regular game of the week. There's only one or two times where they're not on TV. So for us to shell out that amount of money for a couple of games, no, not happening. If it's a game that they're not on TV, by any for any reason or anything like that, I can always find a pub and go watch them for 3 hours if it came to that. But I think there's only been one this year where they haven't been on TV. So and I think there's been one Cowboy game where they haven't been on TV. So doesn't justify the and with the red zone, for doing this show for fantasy or just whatever. If you're just a regular guy, the red zone really eliminates the need to get it as well anyway. So you're not gonna miss the important stuff anyway. So with that being said, so the Seahawks game was not gonna be on television down here by any stretch because it was a NFC 1 o'clock tilt. So down here, obviously, on Fox is going to be the Panthers and the Ravens. Although, wait a minute, the Panthers were home, so the Ravens were here. So that game was actually on CBS. So I didn't even look to see what was on television down here anyway, because my brother brought down this Google Stick thing that he had, and we plugged it in into the HDMI port. He logged onto the Wi-Fi, bada bing, bada boom, a couple of things from his phone, boom. All of a sudden, the Seahawks game's on television. Beautiful. I love it. Love technology. And I'm not even an IT, geek or expert or anything like that, but I love when things like that. He's like, no, I got a Google Stick. We just pop it in. He's like, all I need is an outlet and HDMI port. I was like, I have those two things, and he's like, and I just need access to your Wi-Fi. I was like, I have those three things. Came down, before we started the show, popped it in, did a couple of things on his phone, shapoopy, kiss her on the first date, and that's it. The game was on. It was beautiful. It was great. I love technology. Love when things like that, work like flawlessly. It took us 5-10 minutes, from start to finish to do the whole thing, and it was great. So we got to watch, but watching it that way, we couldn't even change the channel because if we changed the channel, he said it might disrupt the flow, the signal, and things like that. So we didn't even want to mess with it. It was working so good. So I'm like, just don't. Who cares? I don't care. We can check the computer, check anything for any updates or anything else that was going on. The Cowboys weren't playing, Patriots weren't playing, so doesn't matter. If they were, I would have been watching it, on the laptop, and I would have given him the big screen because he lives in Connecticut, so we don't see him too often. So unfortunately. So we got the Seahawks on the TV. He's bouncing around the living room, jumping around, watching the game, just like when I'm watching a Patriot game. I don't sit down. You're in the game when you're with your team. You're in the huddle. You're in. My brother, he's definitely inside the helmet with Russell Wilson. He loves Russell Wilson almost as much as I love Tom Brady, and that's a lot of love, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of love. Just had a great day with him here. Watched the Seahawks. Seahawks won. So it's always better when you win. And I didn't want him to come down here, maybe he comes down once a year. We get to go up there once a year with, the way things are, schedule and, life. I didn't want him to come down here and, just, sit through a loss. So they won, convincingly. Although if they would have won by a miracle the last second, we would have been equally as happy, I'm sure. So, added to the festivities. We had a beautiful meal. Friends came over. Beautiful day. And the NFL, in my opinion, for the first time this year, really, if you look at it game after game, if you go down it game by game, things really seem to go according to plan, or at least they went as according to I thought how things were going to go. But I think really they went according to how, most people thought the days were going to go. Now I did pick the Dolphins on Thursday night, but that was with them getting 7. Like we said on Friday's show, I've got to, come to the acknowledgement that the Texans are actually a pretty good football team. I've been telling you for 3 or 4 weeks that they're not. I'm not going to say that anymore, unless they start losing again. I will say, however, the Jacksonville Jaguars are not a good football team, and I think for a couple of weeks I was saying to you, I don't think the Jaguars are this bad. I can't believe they're this bad. Apparently they are this bad. I think are they 3-4 now? Where are they? Yeah, wow, no, they're 3-5. Wow, they got the same record as the Colts. Holy cow. They're 3-5, the Colts are 3-5, but the Colts have scored 20 more points than they've let up. And the Jaguars, oh my God, Jaguars on 8 games, they have 100, oh my God. 8 games, the Cowboys have 134 points, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they scored like 27 or 30 against us. They scored a lot. They blew us out of a war. What was the score of that game? Yeah, 31-10. So they've that's a 31-point performance. So if you take that out of the equation, so let's do that. Let's do that for fun. So if you take they have 134 points minus the 31 they scored against us. So now they're down to 103 points. Divide that by 7 games because you got to remove 1 game because you're removing our game that you took the 34 points from because you want to be accurate here. This is not the new core math. We're doing correct math here. The Jaguars are averaging, 14.7 points a game. So we'll even give them 15. They scored 2 touchdowns and converted 1 2-point conversion. They're scoring 15 points a game. That's just not going to get it done in today's NFL. Conversely, let's see, the Chiefs. Wow, that's definitely a converse there. Well, the Chiefs have played 1 extra game, so Chiefs have played 8. They played 8, so. Chiefs have scored 290 points, which, wow, what is that divided by 8? It's got to be over 30, right? Yes, it is. I can do that in my head. 290 divided by 8. Chiefs are averaging 36 points a game, so there's your yin and your yang right there of offensive and, offensive efficiency and offensive, delinquency, I guess is the best way to put it. So, yeah, I'm not gonna go on about that. The Jacksonville Jaguars are not this bad. Let's see, how many in a row have they lost now? Is that 4 in a row? They've lost 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's 4 in a row. Wow, they've lost 4 in a row. They were 3-1. Now they're 3-5. Yikes! Holy cow! Honestly, that's shocking to me. But good. I'm glad because they whooped up on us. So if we even ended up tied with them, we'd have to go to Jacksonville, but they're not going to win their division, so that's not going to be a problem. So let's see here. You got so the Eagles, big win for the Eagles out in London. The Eagles are, the Super Bowl, champs, and they're battling through injuries, and the quarterback is trying to get back, and yada yada. So they're going to be, I think, all year. But I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're still a very good team. I think they're 4-4 now. Is that correct? Or are they 5-4? The Eagles are 4-4. Okay, so the Eagles are 4-4, and they're 2 games behind the Redskins. But what happened there? What did you do, Ray? got to work with me here. There we go. Okay. Okay, so the Eagles, big win for them. That's a huge win because they had to keep pace with the Redskins. You know, if they go to 3-4 and the Redskins are 5-2, 3-5, excuse me, and the Redskins are 5-2, that's a big hill to climb. Down here in Charlotte yesterday, the Panthers really impressive victory. Dominating the Ravens and putting up 36 on the Ravens yesterday, which everybody was going on and on about the Ravens defense and this and that and the other thing, and the Panthers came out and let's see, Cam Newton didn't have a huge day, 219 yards, 21-29 though. That's solid, 2 TDs. That's a solid day. McCaffrey had 45 yards. Newton had 52 yards on the ground and a touchdown though. So he was involved in 3 touchdowns. That's a fantastic job by Cam Newton, who I think, and I've said this many, many times, is a fantastic quarterback. Looking for one, two. They only got 2 sacks. Okay, that's Jackson and Reed. 2 sacks. Either way, they win 36 to 21. They go to 5-2, dropping the Ravens to 4-4. I like that. As you know, as a Patriot fan, I always keep an eye on the Ravens and the Steelers. Don't really want to play those guys, but if we have to play them, I certainly would prefer to play them, in Foxborough. So glad to see that the Ravens dropped to 4-4. They're losers of 2 in a row there, so that's good. I'm happy about that, and I'm sure Steelers fans are happy about that as well. And the Panthers got the Buccaneers coming up this weekend in Carolina, but I guess Fitzmagic is back at the helm there, so they could be tough. But I expect the Panthers to go to 6-2 there. So let's see now. They're at 5-2. The Saints are 6-1. Yep, Saints are 6-1. Panthers are 5-2. So they are obviously the class of the division there. And let's see, when do they play New Orleans? Oh wow, they play New Orleans 2 out of the last 3 games of the season. I hate that. Why does the NFL do that? That's just stupid. They play New Orleans, then they play Atlanta, then they play New Orleans at the end of the season. The last 3 games. That's just dumb. How do you do that? Whatever. Not gonna get all get off my lawn grumpy about it, but that's a bad job. I'm sorry. That's just a bad job. You shouldn't play the same team. You only play the teams in your division twice. You shouldn't play them twice in 2 weeks. That's just I don't think that. I think that the NFL's got to set a precedent, in the scheduling, and I understand there's a lot going into making a schedule, for NFL teams. For every team, stadium's got a concert or whatever, scheduling but you come on. There's only 16 games. It's not that hard to not have a game against the same team. And I know this is not the first time that it's happened to anybody, any stretch of the imagination. But to play a division opponent 2 out of the last 3 games down the stretch. I mean, I know they're hoping, they try to make division games, all across the board, scheduling wise, because they're hopeful to get lucky and get a game or 2 that's relatively a playoff game, or at least a playoff game, for one of the teams, or best case scenario, turns out that the game's for the division title and the loser goes home, so it's it is a playoff game, and usually they hit on 1 or 2 of them, or at least 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them, there's one team that is gonna get eliminated if they don't win. Even if they're going against a team that's, either out of it or has already, clinched everything. And sometimes the team that is, has clinched everything rests the guys and, screwing the other teams that need the other team to lose that they're playing. But that's life, get over it. If you're upset about what, let's say the Patriots are because they're resting Gronk and Brady in week 17 and you need, whoever they're playing, the Dolphins to lose, let's say. They're tough. You should have won more games, in the other 16, the other 15, times you took the field. It's not my problem. So I always hate when people complain about that a lot. I guess I hear it a lot being a Patriot fan, as it's not uncommon for them to be resting guys in week 17. They've locked up whatever position, that they have that they have going into the postseason. So hopefully it's the 1 seed. But it could be the 1 seed, could be the 2 seed, or whatever it is. Sorry, just trying to throw little blankets here on the doggy. There we go. There you go, baby. Nice and warm. There you go. You go. Boy, he's doing good. Actually, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to do this. Boom. That's for you, buddy. Threw on the old fireplace a little bit because it's a little chilly in here. I got the windows open and I got the heat on, but for me to go close the windows and, fix the heat, I'd have to get up and leave you, and then I don't want to leave you. Nobody wants that. So I just just threw on the old fireplace. He'll sit next to it. He looks a little chilly. He's got no fur, and like I said, he's pushing 15. Oh, he's got no fur. He's just a very short-haired dog, and underneath his belly, there's no fur there. Never was. It's not an aging thing. So the Panthers are looking good. That sucks that they have to play the Saints the last two out of 3 weeks. But tune in, in December as I'm sitting here, telling you how awesome it is that the Saints and the Panthers are playing, this week. Looks like the Panthers right now would definitely make the playoffs. Yeah, they would be. Yeah, they'd be the number one wild card, if you will. But obviously, with 2 games remaining with the Saints, the division is still very much in play. But they have to keep pace with the Saints because I don't see the Saints losing too many more games here down the stretch as the Saints continue on their winning ways. Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Wow. Saints' next game now is against the Rams. Wow, I did not know that. I'm really excited now to have Shine on this week, Mr. Steven Shine coming on as the Saints correspondent. So the Saints have played at the Ravens, at the Vikings, and now they're home this week coming up against the undefeated Los Angeles Rams. What a great, holy cow, what a gauntlet they've got to run. And they got like one easy game left on the schedule, the Saints. I mean, they could run the table. They're that good. Home against the Rams. Then they're at Cincinnati. That's not an easy game. I mean, Cincinnati's not great, but still not an easy game. Home against the Eagles. That's not an easy game. The Eagles, okay, they don't look so great, but they're still defending Super Bowl champs. It's not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. Then they're home against the Falcons. Okay, Falcons aren't looking good at all, but it's still a division game. They're a big rival, so you never label that game an easy game. Then they're at the Cowboys. That's not an easy game. They're at the Bucks. Okay, that might be an easy one, but Fitzmagic, who knows? And then and then they finished they finished the season at the Panthers, home against the Steelers, and then home against the Panthers. Wow, that is some gauntlet they've got to run there. Tell you what, this team, if they finish the season, 13-3 or 14-2 or 15-1 would be ridiculous. But I'm not saying they can't. They're that good. Wow, and a huge game coming up this week against the Rams. Because the Saints win that game, they're 7-1. The Rams will be 8-1, but the Saints will have defeated them. So that would mean that the Rams, looking, into the NFC title game, if and I know I'm putting the cart before the horse here, the horse before the cart, but still, everybody's looking at that, not just me. You're talking, do you want to play in Los Angeles? Or you want to play in the Dome in New Orleans? What a game! Holy cow! And it's a 4:00 start, huh? That's not the 8:00 game next week. Can we flex? Are we at the point in the season where we can flex? Can we flex that yet? Is that legal? I'll have to have the intern look at that. Whoa, hold everything next week. The Patriots got the Sunday night game versus the Packers, so they're not flexing anybody out of that one. And maybe we could flex that to the Monday night Titans at Cowboys. Switch that up with the Rams Saints. Now they can't. All right, so they're not being flexed anywhere. They're not gonna flex out Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. That's not happening. As big of a game as this is. So that is a big tilt next week. That's huge. Holy cow, that's fantastic. I'm excited about that already. I usually don't start looking to the next week till Wednesday, but looking forward to that one. Looking forward to speaking to Mr. Shine about how he feels about that one. That's a conversation I'm looking forward to having with that young man. I could tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. So Panthers and the Saints, I would say the Panthers and the Saints are going to be going down to the wire, especially since they're going to have 2 games against each other, to end the season. So, Panthers, let's see. They got the Buccaneers, Steelers, Lions, Seahawks at Carolina. Ooh, that's a good one. Buccaneers again, Browns. They do not have the gauntlet that the Saints have, I can tell you that. And then they got the Saints, the Falcons, and the Saints to end with. Wow, so they go into the Saints, Falcons, Saints last 3, with the Buccaneers and the Browns. So, not exactly the creme de la creme there of the NFL, but, Not, like I said, not the gauntlet that the Saints have to run. On to the next game. The Chiefs barely escaped the Denver Broncos again, winning 30-23. The Broncos gave them fits yet again, this time at Arrowhead. Mahomes, he looked human for him. 303, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, 4 touchdowns still, phenomenal day. But 303, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not actually a great day by any stretch for Patrick Mahomes. Hunt only 50 yards on the ground, excuse me. Mahomes was held to -1 yards rushing. What a job there by the Broncos defense. You don't see that happen too often. I'll tell you, right now, I'll tell you this right now, the Broncos are not in a playoff position right now as things sit today, right? They're 3-5. But I'll tell you, if I'm a Kansas City Chief fan, the one team I do not want to see in the postseason, I mean, besides having to go to Foxborough, if you guys have to go to Foxborough, you don't want to do that. But the team I do not want to see make the playoffs, even if they obviously will have to come to Arrowhead at this point. You defeated them twice, but you do not want to play the Denver Broncos again. They have both games given you fits. The first game, the Broncos should have won. They blew that one. So you don't want anything to do with the Broncos. Let's see what they got. Oh, they got the Texans coming up now this week, who are hot as heck, heading into Mile High. Wow, it's a tough one. Then they got the Chargers, who are playing fantastic. Then they got the Steelers. Broncos have quite the gauntlet here themselves. They got going to Cincinnati. Still that's not an easy game. And okay, they got the 49ers, Browns, Raiders. That's a nice stretch right there. They got 49ers, Browns, Raiders, and Brown games at home. So you gotta go 3-0 there, and then they finish the season against the Chargers. That last game against the Chargers could be for a wild card spot. Although I think the Chargers are 5-2, but they still and the Broncos are 3-5. But they still got 2 games versus them. Yeah, they still got 2 games versus them. So, but the Broncos have got tough 4 games coming up now. They've got the Texans at at Los Angeles, home for the Steelers, and then at the Cincinnati. So if I'm a Broncos fan right now, and we'll talk to a Broncos fan on Sunday for the Keeping in the Family football show. Uncle Noah is a huge Broncos fan. I gotta think that you're looking, if you can go 2-2 there, come out of that at and that would put you at 5-7. Then you gotta say, okay, if we can run the last 4, finish 9-7, and beating the Chargers, maybe that would be enough to sneak you into a playoff spot. But if I'm the Chiefs, I'll tell you what, I am a big fan of whoever's playing the Denver Broncos, because they are like the Denver Broncos are to the Kansas City Chiefs what the New York Islanders were to the Pittsburgh Penguins in 1993. But the big question is, do they have a David Volek on the roster? I don't know. But they're the only ones who have been able to slow the Chiefs down any form this season. Certainly the Patriots couldn't do it, even though they won, but still. The Steelers handed the Browns another loss. Steelers looked, that game kind of went as everybody thought. I liked the Browns getting the amount of points that they were getting. I wouldn't have bet on it, but I liked it. And the Browns fall to 2-5-1. So the Browns are about, where everybody thought they would be. And the Steelers all of a sudden find themselves in first place at 4-2-1. And I told you all season, I was like, I'm going to keep an eye on the Steelers. I don't, they're not this bad. They have a tough schedule the rest of the way, too. Wow. Okay, everybody's got a tough schedule. Well, that's good. I don't think New England's got that tough a schedule, believe it or not. I don't think New England's got that hard a schedule at all. Okay, they got the Packers in New England. Okay. We'll see. The Packers gave it their all yesterday out in L.A. and fell up short, so they got to go from L.A. now back to Green Bay out to Boston. That's a lot of traveling there in 7 days. Then they're at Tennessee. That's not a tough game. I mean, every game's a tough game, but, and they're at Tennessee, and they're at the Jets. That's not a tough game. Then they're home against the Vikings. That's a good one. At the Dolphins, always a tough game. Brady always struggles in Miami, probably because he's out partying all week. I don't know if he's out partying at 41 years old, but he always struggles in Miami. Then they're at Pittsburgh. Then they're home against Buffalo, home against the Jets to finish the season. So they do not have, by any stretch of the imagination, the gauntlet that some of the other organizations are tasked with handling. So that's I'm pretty confident that New England's gonna, at worst, be the number 2 seed. Hopefully they can catch Kansas City. If Kansas City can slip up somewhere, New England might keep pressure on Kansas City all year. That they have to be a 1-loss team to get the number 1 seed. So that's good. Make Kansas City, keep their foot on the gas all the way through. And, Belichick's not going to take his foot off the accelerator. And so the Steelers had a real good week with the Ravens losing. They increased their lead in the division. And Steelers, who do they have this week? I think they have, are they here in Carolina? Is that everything got? Yep, that's right. They're here. No, they're home, excuse me. No, I'm wrong. That's the wrong week. Oh, they're at the Ravens. Wow, that's a huge game. Huge games next week coming up. Looking forward to it. So the Steelers, right now, they're, oh gosh, how do I figure this out? They're 4-2-1, so they're 2.5 games up on the Ravens. Yeah, I guess they're 2.5 games up on the Ravens. I guess that's what that would be. And they have the Ravens once again, right, down the stretch. No, they don't. Was their last time against the Ravens? They played the Ravens already? Oh, that's right. That's right. They played the Ravens on a Sunday night. Yeah, that's right. They lost. That was in Pittsburgh. Okay. So Steelers are who I thought they were. With all the turmoil, all the noise, all the drama, all this and that and the other thing. Turn around, the Steelers are 4-2-1 on top of the division. I knew this was going to happen. They're always a good team, and I don't care what anybody says. People disagree with me on this one, top to bottom. Mike Tomlin is a heck of a coach. Mike Tomlin teams are always well prepared. Mike Tomlin teams are always tough to beat. Mike Tomlin teams are always right there. You turn around at the end of the season, and they're either winning the division or they're playing, in a game with the Ravens, or sometimes the Bengals, but usually the Ravens or something like that, for a division title, and they 9 times out of 10 have a home playoff game. So say what you want about Mike Tomlin. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he's so underrated. I think he's very difficult to beat. I mean, New England seems to manage it. I don't know, something about New England's got their number. But overall, though, I still, the Steelers are not intimidated by New England. New England's got to go to Pittsburgh, so if Pittsburgh can stay hot and only have 2 losses in the tie there, New England comes in, that game's going to be for seeding. So then the Steelers would surpass the Patriots in the standings there for a home playoff game down the road. So the Seahawks, we talked about that game, really important win there. That got the Seahawks, I think, to 4-3. Am I not mistaken? Seahawks are, where'd you go? There you are. Seahawks are 4-3. Okay, the division's not going to happen, but that's not their fault. The Rams are 8-0. But they're certainly right there for the wild card. As I said all along. I said when they were 1-3, watch the Seahawks for the wild card. So they got themselves, the Vikings, and the Panthers. I guess the Bears will be right there. The Packers are still in there. So it's going to be a hodgepodge there in the NFC going forward. But that was a huge win last night. Yesterday afternoon. They lose that game. They're 3-4. They've lost to the Lions. Things aren't looking. If they lost that game, the season, takes a completely different turn for them. But they didn't. So, and a really impressive performance. Ooh, they're at the Rams next week. And then they got the Packers, then the Panthers. Oh God, these schedules. Okay, 49ers, Vikings. 49ers again, Chiefs, Cardinals. Wow, they do not have an easy schedule either. So we'll see how that goes. So far, of all the teams I looked at, the Patriots have the easiest schedule remaining. So I'm pleased about that. The Bengals tried to bungle themselves out of the game, but found a way to win. They won in 37-34. Looks like Fitzmagic is coming back for the Buccaneers there. We'll see what happens there. They're still not a good team. The Bengals, I don't know. Are they a good team? They're not that bad. They're 5-3, so they are what they are. Let's see. Dalton 280, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, and Mixon 123 yards. Cincinnati can run the ball. Cincinnati can stop the run. So, I know they got their lunches handed to them at Kansas City last Monday night, but they're not the only team that Kansas City's handed their lunches to. So you can't really overly analyze that one. The Steeler game, that was the one that they should have won. They blew that one. They win that game, and the Steelers are at the Steelers would be 3-1 right now, and they would be 6-2. So woulda, coulda, shoulda. The Bears did what the Bears were supposed to do. They beat the Jets at home. An impressive defensive effort there, limiting the Jets to only 10 points. Let's see. Darnold was 14 for 29, 150 yards with a touchdown. No interceptions, though. They didn't have a runner gain over 30 yards. The Jets did. So, I mean, just a as expected Bears performance there. Trubisky was average, 220, 2 touchdowns. No interceptions, though. Howard had a decent day, 81 yards and a touchdown, Not a dominating performance by the Bears by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't have to be a dominating performance. They won a home game, against a team that they should have beat, and that's what they did. So they went out, and they're back in first place now in the division at 4-3. Because the Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions all lost. So real good day for the Bears there. Actually, they won their game, and every other team in their division lost. Love it when that happens. That's a good day there for the Chicago Bears. So bouncing back for a couple of tough losses. See if they righted the ship. Who they got coming up next? Chicago. Where'd you go? Let's see. Who do the Bears got coming down the line for them? Because now they're right back in contention for the division. Oh, they got the Bills and the Lions coming up next. Those are the 2 winnable games. They should win both of those games. So then they got the Vikings. That's a tough one. Then the Lions again. They should beat the Lions. I'm not impressed. Then the Giants. Wow. Bears. They're 1, 2, 3, 4. They should win. They should win 4 out of the next 5. So they really should. That would put them at 8-4, I believe. Then they got then things get a little bit different. Then they got the Rams, the Packers, the 49ers, and the Vikings. So down the stretch, they got 3 out of 4 tough games. But right now they've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 out of their next 5 games. Two out of the next 5 games are ridiculously easy. They got the Giants and the Bills, and then you got 2 Lions games. They played the Lions in 2 times in 3 weeks. That's so stupid. I'm not impressed with the Detroit Lions. I was never impressed with the Detroit Lions. I'm not a Stafford fan. He's below average at this point. So the Bears are going to be right there. Bears are going to be there the rest of the season. Bears are going to be in contention for that division because the Vikings and the Packers aren't good enough, to run away with it anyway. So the Bears are going to be, right around that, 10, 11 win mark. 11 might be pushing it a little. What are they? How many losses do they have? 3? They have 3 now. They have 4. Where are the Bears? Bears are 4-3. They're going to be probably around that 10-6 mark, which may very well be good enough to win that division. We'll see. And their defense is their they have a fantastic defense, So and I'm a big fan of Howard. I think Howard's a heck of a running back. I love the way he pounds the rock, as they say. And if you watched the football show yesterday, I like him and running backs of his ilk because what he does, what Howard does, what Emmitt Smith did with Ben Jarvis Green Ellis was, really good at too. And one of the reasons he's always been one of my favorite Patriot running backs is they fall forward. Howard gets hit, he's going down, he falls forward. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis used to fall forward. Emmitt Smith was, phenomenal at it. I bet you Emmitt Smith has probably got 1,000 yards if you went back and looked at all his film. 1,000 yards from just falling forward. You get 1, you get 1.5, you get 2 sometimes. If you can, and these guys get hit, the play stop, but they fall forward for another yard. That's a big difference because, like I always say, 2nd and 7 and 2nd and 6, or 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 5 is a big difference. So, big fan of Howard. I think the Bears are going to be there all season. They're going to be there right at the end. The Washington Redskins took care of business up in the Meadowlands there, the Jimmy Hoffa Memorial Stadium, handling the Giants 20-13. I think the Giants got a late touchdown. I don't think the game was very close. Alex Smith, 20 for 32, 178 yards with a touchdown. Good enough. Wow, Adrian Peterson, good for him. 149 yards and a touchdown. Good for him. That's awesome. Manning, 316 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. I didn't see the game. I didn't see the interceptions, so I can't say, they may have been, I don't know if they were on Manning or if they were deflections, so I can't speak, I don't want to speak to the game. 30 for 47, 316, and a touchdown. Not a terrible day, but if they're 2 bad picks, turns out to be a bad day. Barkley completely shut down. 13 carries, 38 yards. That's not going to get it done, but we know the Giants' offensive line is garbage, and the Redskins' front 7 is not garbage by any stretch of the imagination. Redskins are a good team, and they're going to be there. They're going to be there all year. They're going to be battling. Let's see their schedule. They're going to be battling right to the end for the division title. I mean, obviously they're 5-2. It's not really a bold statement. Let's see what they got coming up on the docket here. They got the Falcons at home. I mean, the Redskins are still that type of team where they can lose to anybody. You wait for them to have that poopy loss that they shouldn't have because they're the Redskins. And I guess history would say that loss is coming, but until it happens, I'm gonna stay on the Redskins bus until they kick me off. So home against the Falcons, not a tough game. It's not a tough game. At the Buccaneers, not a tough game. Home against the Texans, okay, tough game, but not ridiculously tough game. Then they're playing on Thanksgiving at the Cowboys. Tough game, but you can't. Games against the Cowboys, huge rivalry games like that. You can't label it an easy game by any sense of imagination, but it's not a ridiculously tough game on the schedule. It's just that's on the schedule this year. That's the date we're playing them this year at the Cowboys. So it is what it is. It's a tough game, but it's not like at New Orleans type of tough where that doesn't happen every year. The Cowboy game happens every year in Dallas, so that is what it is there. So I don't look at that as I always look at the out of division games where they lie, and then they're at the Eagles, okay, and then they're home against the Giants. Like I said, the division games are division games. They're gonna happen anyway. Then they're at the Jaguars, which boy, by that point in the season, we're talking late in the season here. That might be an easy game. At the Titans, not a hard game, and then they end home against the Eagles. So they don't have a ridiculously hard schedule either. So the Redskins are going to be there all season long. They're going to be right around that 10-11 win mark themselves. I see them at. They're good team, good coach team, good defense, and Alex Smith. What can you say? Is Andrew Luck back, ladies and gentlemen? I think he may be. 3 touchdowns yesterday, a dominating performance out in Oakland. 21-point fourth quarter I see here. Going out to Oakland and handing the Raiders their 6th loss. The Raiders obviously given up on the season along with the Giants, and they are at 1-6. Colts are at 3-5. They, I guess at this point they're saying, let's get to 500 boys and end the season on some positive notes, trending, with the Frank Wright offense and Andrew Luck, looking like he's getting back to 100%. So I'm an Andrew Luck fan, so good for him, and good to see the Colts, are riding the ship. It's going to take time. They knew they weren't going to have a great year, and it's their first year, with Andrew Luck back, so after a season, with the shoulder situation. So, if I'm a Colts fan today, I'm pleased with my team putting up 42 points, even if it was against Oakland. I don't care. 42 points on the road, I'll take it. So good for them. They have, if they can get to 500 right now, 3-5. You finish the season 5-3, get to 500. That's a good year. That's a real good. And Andrew Luck, plays all 16 games and feels fine. At the end of week 17. I'll tell you what. You find me a Colts fan, late in August, if I would have said, hey, you guys are going to be 8-8. You finish the second half of the season 5-3, and Andrew Luck, is completely healthy, feels fine. We just signed for it right now, and the guy would have had his signature done before I even asked if he would sign for it. So. And he'd be right to do it. Cardinals and Niners. Cardinals won the game 18-15. Congratulations, Arizona. Rams and Packers. That was the game of the day as far as competitiveness goes. The Packers handed the Rams everything that that they can handle out there. And every time the Rams get pushed, every time the Rams their undefeated season is pushed to the brink, they answer. They answer the bell. They answered it yesterday, certainly. Let's see here. Goff had a really nice day. 19 for 35. That's not that accurate, but who cares? 295 yards and 3 TDs. Gurley 114 on the ground. No touchdowns, though. But, the Rams are the Rams. They're an exceptionally tough team. The Packers really played very well. 10-point underdog. I thought the Rams were going to blow them out of the water. Rodgers had a decent day. 18 for 30. How many sacks did the Rams get, though? The Rams, Rams front 7 is, I'm scared. It's intimidating. Wow, Donald had 2 more sacks. Amazing. They had 1, 2, 3. Only 3 sacks. That's a good job by the, offensive line there with the Packers. Rodgers was under a lot of duress all day, but, you play in the Los Angeles Rams, you're going to be under a lot of duress all day. Let's see who the Rams got now, because you got to start to look at they're 8-0. You got to start to say, can they go 16-0? No, they're not going to go 16-0, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you right now. But you start to look. Oh gosh, yeah, we talked about this. They got the Saints next week at New Orleans, so get through that one, and oh my gosh, and they got the Chiefs in Mexico. They got the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Chiefs are their next 3 games. They come out of these next 3 games 11-0, and then I'll have that conversation with you, and then I'll be like, well, I'm not even looking at the rest of the schedule, but they get through at the Saints. Home against the Seahawks, and then a neutral site game in Mexico. Where you're tempting fate there with Montezuma's revenge. Against the Chiefs. They get through those 3 games 3-0, and then the conversation should be had and will be had, I'm sure, by everybody, not just me. So we'll see if they can run this gauntlet right here and win these 3 games. Because these are 3 tough games right there. Wow. Then gets a little bit easier the rest of the way, but wow, gets a lot easier after that. So yeah, if they do win these 3 games, yeah, they're poised to do it. But winning those 3 games is a big task to ask anybody. But on a more important note, though, about the Los Angeles Rams, please, whoever it is that makes this happen, okay, for everybody's sake, everybody. And if there's any person that's hearing this right now and seeing me speak to this right now, and you disagree with me, I don't know. I don't know what to say to you. There's nothing anybody could even say to you, because no one that I can think of in their right mind, or even in their wrong mind, if you're out of your mind, would say that what I'm saying in this next statement is incorrect, because it's 100% correct. Okay, there's no argument here. Please, for all of us, can you please wear the uniforms and the helmets and everything and the get-ups that you wore yesterday every week forever? Can those be your colors? Can those be your uniforms just as they are? Don't tweak them. Don't update them. Don't touch them. Don't do a thing to them. Everything about your get-up yesterday, from your helmet to your jersey with the just a plain white one, everything's one dimensional. The blue, the Ram helmet, the blue with the yellow. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so perfect. And the white name, the name in white, not in yellow. Don't touch it. Don't touch a thing. Don't touch one stitch on that entire get up. The pants, everything top to bottom. Did they wear white pants or did they wear blue pants? I don't know, because it works with either. I can't see in that picture. Whatever, or yellow pants. Yeah, they wore yellow pants yesterday. What am I talking about? Yes. Keep the yellow pants, the blue jersey, the helmet, everything. Don't touch a thing on anything. And please, for the love of God, for everyone's sake, please wear these every week. Get rid of the other garbage, dark blue, gold, whatever that you guys wore when you went to St. Louis. I know you wanted to change your colors, when you moved out of Los Angeles the last time, out of Anaheim. So you wanted to establish your own identity in a new city and all. I get that. But for the love of God, for the love of football, for the love of my eyes, and there's so many beautiful things to see in this world, and some of them are man-made, and the Rams get-up is one. So please, please, please do us all a favor and wear these every week from now on, and take the other ones and put them in your Rams Hall of Fame, hang them up, show them that was generation you guys were for 20 years, whatever. I'm not going to go into how awful they are, and they are awful, and they're much more awful because you're wearing those instead of wearing these, and oh my God, if you can wear these every week. Please, just enough already. Somebody sign something, make it, maybe you're waiting till the new stadium is built, I don't know, whatever, I don't know. Just for the love of everything that's good and decent, do the right thing. Wear these get-ups. They're fantastic. They're beautiful. Everything about them, they're perfect. Oh, gosh. I can't stress it enough. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the show. We actually ended up running a little long. We didn't get into the NHL. I was very pleased with the Islanders' victory and things of that nature. Tune in tomorrow. Welcome to Glenda. I'm not sure what time I'm going to air tomorrow. We are going to start airing the show live earlier. I was going to do it, thought I was going to do it today, but didn't end up doing it today. Wow, it's getting hot. The fireplace is working. So I'll let you know on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter at GlendaLoveBC. The G, the L, the B, and the C are capitalized. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's the Glenda Love Broadcasting Company on YouTube. You can catch all the games there, the live games. We've got 2 UNC tilts coming up this weekend. One against Charlotte, UNC Charlotte, and the other. Who is UNC playing this weekend? Let's see. One's Charlotte, I know that. UNC hockey schedule. Oh, yeah, pops right up. Boom. And Shapoopy. Kiss her on the first date. Shapoopy. Hold. Let's see. I know one's against Charlotte. I think that's Friday night. No, Wilmington's Friday night. Sorry, they're playing UNC Wilmington Friday night. And then Saturday night they're playing UNC Charlotte. So we'll have both of those, and then they're playing Duke on Wednesday. Nice. So we'll have both of those games for you live. We got a couple of youth and junior hockey games coming up this weekend. We're actually making that schedule today. So keep an eye on Twitter and our Facebook. You can find us on Facebook, Glenda Love Broadcasting Company. But like I said, please, if you're a fan of the show, please share the show with as many people and ask them to tune in. And I want to thank you all so much for all your support. I want to thank you all for all the kind words that a lot of you had sent to me about the show and about the broadcast. I really appreciate it. I truly do. Look forward to tomorrow's show. So that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, from Glenda. I am your host, Scotty Bonner. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Have a great day.
From the mountain to the prairie.